If you're completing Year 12 this year, these are the top 10 tips that helped me score a 99.8 ATAR and get into medical school. Hey guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Emil and I recently graduated from Scotch College in 2020 with an ATAR of 99.8 and 99th percentile UCAS. Soon I'll be starting my first year of medical school at Monash University. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 10 key things that I think allowed me to score highly in Year 12 and explaining why I think everyone would benefit from following these tips. If you'd like to skip ahead, I've included video timestamps in the description below. Without further ado, let's get into the first tip, which is sleeping well. The reason why I think sleep is so important for doing well in Year 12 is fairly self-explanatory. Getting an ample amount of sleep has been shown time and time again to improve your concentration and focus during the day. The big problem I see though with lack of sleep is that it compounds on itself. When you sleep a lower amount than you usually would, you feel tired the next day. And because you feel tired, when you come home from school, you feel tired and then you're left less efficient when you're doing your homework. And because you're less efficient when you're doing your homework, something that would usually take 30 minutes takes 2 hours, or sometimes even 3 hours. And then because it takes 2 hours, you're going to sleep late again because your homework goes later into the night. And then you sleep less again and the process repeats itself the next day. And so this is how people develop really horrible sleeping habits. In general, I know that I need to get about 8 hours of sleep a night to be functioning very well the next day. I know I don't really need more than that, and if I get less, I feel really grumpy and tired. So because of that, I'd always make sure to sleep at least 8 hours a day to make sure that I'm functioning at my best. The second tip I have for you guys is to know how to relax. By this, what I mean is that you should be able to let yourself off when you know you won't be able to study well. I think it's simply a fact that on some days you'll come home from school and you just won't feel like doing your homework. Some days you might just do 1 hour of homework and then after that you might just feel completely immobilized and unable to do your homework. On these days, I feel like you really should just let yourself off right off the night and let yourself relax. If you force yourself to work more, the quality of your work will probably be less. And then you'll also end up just making yourself feel unhappier. Instead of doing this, you might as well just take the day off, right off the night, and just let yourself do the work properly and be actually productive the next day. Obviously, when I say this, you can't be doing this every second night because it just won't sustain itself. But if you do this every now and then, it will actually greatly help you ease your state of mind and relax yourself. I myself used this several times in Year 12, even when I knew I had assignments and tests due the next day. But usually I just let my teachers know and they'd be fairly understanding and let me off because it would be a one-time occurrence. The third tip I have for you guys is that you must forget your past academic history. It doesn't matter if in the past years you were bad at maths, or if you were bad at English, or if you were bad at science, or bad at arts. It doesn't matter. In my opinion, the Year 12 system is one that rewards hard work rather than natural talent. Often I see friends who are held back by this mentality, who think that they are bad at a certain subject and as a result, don't put work into it because they think it's futile. Often I realize that these friends could probably do a lot better if they just dropped that mentality and worked hard at a particular subject. Even if you've done objectively badly in a subject before, that does not mean you can't flip the game in Year 12 by simply working hard. Now my fourth tip is about extracurriculars, like sports, music, public speaking, debating, and all the like. I've seen a lot of people drop all their extracurriculars for Year 12, and I've always felt that that never goes well. For me, my extracurriculars during Year 12 always gave me a breath of fresh air during the week and an opportunity to relax and express my hobbies. People seem to think that time is some huge issue in VCE and that you won't have time to do certain things. But I have to disagree and say that the problem is not with the amount of time, but with the efficiency of the time you use. Just because you drop your extracurriculars in Year 12 doesn't mean you'll have more time. It means you'll have more time that you can waste. Because of this, if you do extracurriculars, you should definitely not drop them in Year 12. And if you don't do extracurriculars, don't be afraid to pick them up because I promise they will help you a lot in the long run. My fifth tip is that you must know the specific challenges of your subjects. What I mean by this is that in most exams, there's usually a section that's significantly harder than the rest of the exam, or that the exam in general might propose a very significant challenge in itself. For me, I knew that in Latin, the section I had to do well in was the unseen section. And for a more common example, I knew that in English, a specific general challenge of the exam was that I had to write 3 essays in 3 hours, 1 hour each. You must know these challenges in advance in order to give yourself more time to prepare for them. Since your Year 12 results are so determined by your exam results, every minute you put into preparing for these challenges will help your final score. The sixth tip I have is that you must be using your teacher's resources. I know there can be a few bad eggs, but in general, I feel that teachers are extremely willing to help their Year 12 students, both outside of class and sometimes even outside of school hours. If you're having trouble with a specific topic, or just in general, just ask. There's honestly no harm done, and it's the teacher's job to be helping you do well in your studies. If you often have questions but forget to ask them, it's often very useful to have a notebook to write down specific questions for your subjects, rather than just jotting them down in your homework book where you might forget them and forget to ask them. Then once you've got them written down, ask your teacher to meet you outside of class or at the end of class and ask them to answer the questions you had written down. Trust me, it helps a lot. My next tip is that you must be focusing on a score rather than on your peers. I spoke about this briefly in a previous video, but this mentality helped me a lot during VCE to alleviate stress and competition. What I would do is I would focus on a certain cutoff point for my subjects, say a 40, rather than being rank X or rank Y in this school. And I felt that this allowed me hugely to avoid the competition and feeling like I was competing with my peers, and allowed me to work better with a lot of them. This mentality helps a lot because in reality, your exam performance is worth much more than your school ranking. Following on from the previous tip is that you absolutely must be doing practice exams over every other study method, because so much of your Year 12 mark is decided by your exam score. Even when studying for SACs, make sure you're doing practice SACs, or even scroll through VCAA website, look through some past exam papers, and look for the questions in the topic that you're doing for your SAC. It's really important that you're studying for the exam, because in all cases, your end result is directly correlated with your exam performance. As an added bonus, practice exam questions are an extremely efficient method of studying. My ninth tip is that you must be willing to cut out any negative influence you have in your life. By this, I don't mean cutting out your teachers or not talking to your parents because they slightly annoyed you. But what I mean is more an aggressive form of self-control. For me, I knew that I could not be playing games later in Year 12 because it was taking too much of my time and it was making me feel tired rather than relaxed. This might be different for you. It might be TikTok, it might be Netflix, it might be anime, it might be games as well. But what's important to know is that as soon as you realize these things are damaging your productivity, you must cut them out of your life aggressively. Delete the games, delete TikTok, change your Netflix password, or give it to your parents. Or block Netflix on your Wi-Fi. Remove the TV from your room. Do all these things because it will only be for a year at most, and it will hugely benefit you. The 10th and final tip I have for you guys today is that you must be confident in your ability. I've talked a lot about exams in this video today, but that's because exams are such a huge part of doing well in Year 12. One of the most important things I've learned about exams in the last few years is that the actual practice you've done doesn't matter as much as your feeling on exam day. This is often because negative feelings on exam days will hugely decrease your performance, whereas having positive feelings of confidence and happiness will greatly improve your performance. This confidence for exams is for sure built up by the things you do during the year, so make sure you cherish the small victories you receive when you receive them. Did you get an A on your SAC because you worked really hard for it? Be happy and remember that feeling and take it to exam day, because it will make you feel like you deserve the good results that you do. That wraps up my top 10 tips for Year 12. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you feel like I missed something or if you learnt something, leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe.